Okay, it's 2:02. This will be recorded, so for those who miss any of the beginning parts, you will be able to find a recording of this one or a previous session on the Tacoma Venues website. That's tacomavenues.org. But otherwise, I'm going to take it away. My name's Ashley Young. Thank you so much for being here. I'm the special event coordinator for the city of Tacoma. I'm joined today with Gerald Ananuevo, who's currently off camera, but he is my right-hand partner in crime today. He will be managing the Q&A, chat features. He'll be making sure that my tech is under control. He'll also be helping me with any questions afterwards. We will do a Q&A session. The way that you can do that is you can drop your questions in the Q&A section right now, or at any time during the presentation, and then he will either respond if he knows the answers, and then we'll open it up at the very end of the presentation for any questions. We'll also do a full Q&A section where you can raise your hand if you want to in real time, and I can unmute you and you can ask your question that way. We just want to give you guys the opportunity to answer any questions that you may have. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Well, thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to talk about our 2027 Special Event Funding and City Event Services Program. This is a program that's hosted by Tacoma Venues and Events. We are a department under the City of Tacoma. I am the Special Event Coordinator. I work in the Special Events Office. I help with this funding program along with other programs such as permitting and city event services. I am anything special events. Always feel free to come to me and ask me any questions, but today we're going to focus on this topic. Today we're going to talk about our program. We're going to go over timeline, eligibility, requirements, budget, criteria, and how to apply. First of all, we'll start with our timeline. Application opened on June 30th. We've had one Q&A session so far. You're at our second Q&A session right now, and applications will close on August 4th. Again, these Q&A sessions are being recorded and they will be on our website. One is already up there now. So if for some reason you have to leave early or you want to come back to something, feel free to hop on our website, tacomavenues.org, under special events and look for these recorded Q&A sessions. Otherwise, you are always welcome to connect with me via email or one-on-one. Happy to set up calls or virtual chats. So who is eligible for special event funding? Well, there's actually an array of folks that are. All you need to do is answer yes to one of the following. Are you a private nonprofit with a 501c3 designation? Are you a city recognized neighborhood business district association? Are you a city recognized neighborhood council group? You can even be an organized group of community volunteers, but it does have to come from a group, not an individual. You can also be a for-profit business that wants to produce an event that's outside of their typical scope of work or line of business, and it also has to serve a public benefit. Are you an educational institution? Are you a federally recognized native nonprofit? Or and then also we do like to know, this doesn't determine yes or no, but in some instances there could be eligibility differences for different funding programs. So we just want to know, are you already contracting with the city in 2027 for this particular event? The types of applications that we cannot receive are the following. If you're just a single individual that is wanting to produce an event, if the funds would go towards a scholarship or donation for a particular type of program, political organizations or candidates for political office cannot use this funding. Organizations that discriminate against any group may not use this funding. Programs that promote or endorse specific religious affiliations may not use this funding. Not organizations, but programs themselves. If you have more than one application in from an organization, only one will be considered. And then in some, again, I just have to do this little disclaimer. There could be instances where if you're already receiving funding, you may not be able to be eligible for this funding. That's a case-by-case basis. So if you ever have any questions, please reach out. Just to blanket that, Tacoma Creates and Arts Programs is not one of those programs. You may receive special event funding and Tacoma Creates funding at the same time. So next we're going to talk about the requirements of the program. So the event must fund activities that take place in the city of Tacoma. The event must be free and open to the public. Each event must have a matching fund of $1 to $1. That can come in multiple sources. That can either come in the form of cash, contributions, sponsorships, in kind. It's, for example, volunteer hours can count for that, or even just existing funds that you already have set aside for the event. The event must support activities that are fully accessible to all audiences, including those with visual and non-visual disabilities. Your event must comply with federal, state, city laws, including non-discrimination and equal employment opportunity laws. You will be required to have a City of Tacoma business license for your event. You do have to acknowledge or agree, if it applies to your program, that TVE and City of Tacoma logos will be present in all of your marketing, public announcement, programming, all of your materials. You have to have our logos. You agree to allow us to table at your event if it's applicable. You agree to participate in the city's green events program. So our green events program is for use of solid waste and garbage recycle equipment. And then you do have to follow all of the City of Tacoma's contracting and purchasing program policies, which are quite extensive. I will be upfront with that, and we're happy to help you through that process. So just for a few examples, like what exactly can my funding go towards? Well, it can go towards professional contracting services. So if you want to hire an event producer, if you need traffic control services for those events that are in the right of way, for stage management or performers. Again, it can also go towards your traffic control equipment. Not just any services, but equipment as well. Barricade signs, it can go towards flaggers, off-duty officers. You can use it towards promotional materials, whether it's social media, flyers, print, banners, etc. And then there's a whole other array of things that you can use it towards, like any other equipment, permits and licenses, as long as it pertains to the event itself. What you cannot use the funding for is any expenses other than what you directly need to produce the event. So general operating support, it does not cover. You cannot use this towards staffing or logistics or marketing that's not directly attributable to the event itself. You cannot use it in order to raise funds for another event. So it cannot be used towards fundraising at all. You cannot use it for beer liquor gardens, cannot use it for any debt services, political activities. And then also you cannot use it to pay anybody who may be a City of Tacoma employee or a member of the committee who oversees this program, which is the City Events and Recognitions Committee. Not to say that they can't help, but you cannot pay them. We do require that you submit a budget in your application. So this is what that budget template looks like. You are required to use our specific Excel spreadsheet. You can send it to us in a PDF format if you would like, but we do require that you use this spreadsheet. I will just say, based off of a couple items I've seen come through, using AI does not necessarily help you fill out this template. If it looks different or is not formatted the same, it will be rejected and you'll be asked to resubmit. If you ever need help or have questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to walk you through it. If you do receive this funding, you will also be required to fill out the budget and submit it for your final report. So this is why we want the same budget used. Our committee members get anywhere between 40 and 60 applications. These are all volunteers. They are doing this out of their love for the city and for these programs. We do not want them having to relearn somebody's P&Ls every single time they look at a budget. So this format allows them to read through it efficiently and then reference it again during the final report time once events are ready to receive their funding. So in the budget, we ask for you to provide the following. We're asking that you give us what your revenues and expenses are. For revenue, we consider all kinds of items revenue, whether it's sales from your concessions, registration fees from your vendor, any funding that you're getting, be it city, county, state, etc., advertising that you're selling, so sponsorship would be considered a revenue source. But we're also allowing for in-kind items to be considered revenue. So whether that's donated time, donated equipment, donated product, those can also count towards revenue. So please account for that in that budget section. We're also asking for you to provide a list of your projected expenses. So whether you're paying contractors, whether you're paying artists or performers, security, staffing, whatever materials that you need to produce the event, insurance, anything that you would spend on actually producing the event, we want you to include in that expense section. I went ahead and made like a little example of what that budget template would look like if we were to complete it. This is a totally made up event, Tactown Art Fest 2026. As you can see on the top section, we've got all kinds of different forms of revenue generation. Be sure to use that notes section to either help the committee understand what those are going towards, or to help remind yourself what you put in the estimated section, so that when you come back to it, should you receive funding, you can reference it in the actual section too. So as you see here, we've got all kinds of revenue being represented, and then here's a list of all kinds of different expenses. This is pretty detailed and like maybe overly thorough. I just wanted to show something that it could be. Make sure to use like your best judgment on how you want to fill it out. Be prepared to answer questions if they should arise. But then we want to see right here in this budget overview that you're not estimating anything over for your received revenue versus your expenses. They're going to make sure that you're not showing a deficit. They want to know that you have the capacity to present this event, that you are planning ahead to make sure that the revenue you plan to bring in will be able to support all of your expenditures. So next we're going to step into criteria. So each application is scored through a point system. There are 4 sections of scoring. When you first start the application, you're basically going to just be filling out your information about you, your organization, your event, what public benefit, attributes of your event, scope of work. These are more like high level ideas about the event itself. Then they want to get into more of the, let's say, meat and potatoes of what the event actually does and its significance in the community. So the first section that they score in is merit. So they have determined that program merit is the extent to which your event's agenda is well crafted, aligned with the mission of your organization, and provides meaningful experiences through participation in education, celebration, or performance. There will be 3 questions. The first question will speak to event content. The second question will speak to community involvement. And the third section will speak to new experiences. You can find a list of the questions before you start your application on our website. So again, tacomavenues.org, go to special event funding, and then you can find all the questions. I personally like to write out my questions maybe in a Word document before I start filling out my applications. That way I'm able to save my work or re-reference it or go back in and tweak it before I actually submit the application. The second section that they will be scoring on is access, opportunity, and belonging. This is worth 35 points, and they've determined that these key areas of focus are deeply rooted in the principles of access and reflect a systems level approach to transformation. They are going to ask questions on your planning team and how it reflects the community that it's serving, how your event is designed for access for all abilities, and what cultural opportunities is your event providing to the community. The third section they'll be grading on is community impact. This is worth 20 points. Community impact measures the positive changes or contributions that an event brings to the community it serves. This includes both tangible and intangible effects on the local community or specific groups of people. There will be 3 questions on this one as well. The first one is about community needs. How is this event serving a need that your community has? Community benefits, and what way is it then providing a benefit? Like, in which way is it giving back to the community and community support? Thirdly, this is a smaller section. Again, I said they're going to make sure in your budget that you're able to have the capacity to present your event. So that's what the 4th section is. The capacity to present the event demonstrates that the organization has the infrastructure, resources, and commitment to present the proposed event. These guidelines focus on various aspects to ensure the successful execution of the event. This is showing 4 sections, but it actually only scores on 3 of the 4 questions, but these are the 4 items in this section. It will be scoring on tracking and metrics. How are you tracking the data in your event, whether it's the people that are coming, the types of people, the reactions and responses. They want to know, how are you tracking for future success? How then are you using that data and evaluation and improvement for future events? And then the third one that's being scored is funding strategies. How are you being strategic with the money that you're being provided, or with the in-kind resources that you're being provided? This is also the section where we ask you to upload your event documentation. And so I wanted to add it here. So you know, this is the section where you'll need to have your materials that show marketing of maybe past events or conceptual ideas of this event if it's your first time producing it. That way they can get more of a visual understanding of your event. So those are the 4 sections that you'll be scored on. From there, you will be sent to a section asking if you'd like to receive City Event Services. City Event Services is a new program. It's been around for its 2nd year now. This is where you can request services for events that are in the public right-of-way. So basically your events that are have street closures. So fairs or festivals that are in different neighborhoods, you can request to have city services from our public works and our police department. So there are 2 different designations. The first designation is a citywide program. A citywide one has significant impact on Tacoma. Your event's going to attract more than 10,000 people. It's going to expand over 7 city blocks. But for citywide designations, you must be a nonprofit 501c3 in order to be eligible. That way you can receive both police personnel and public works personnel and equipment for free. The other designation is Tacoma sponsored. This is for kind of all the rest of the groups that are still in the right-of-way. You're still doing a street closure. You can request to use equipment from our public works department to shut your street down. This section this program is included in the special event funding program, because a lot of the criteria is the same. It actually just becomes a little bit more stringent as you go into the City Event Services program. So after you are done completing the last section of the funding, you will see a thing that says, would you like to apply for City Event Services, yes or no? You'll be asked a series of questions that determine if you're eligible. If you are determined that you're eligible, the committee will review it and then send it to the city manager. Our city manager then has authority to see what events will be allowed to receive services that year. Another way that TVE provides support is through our Skill Shops program, excuse me. We created a program a couple years ago where we did online webinars talking about various elements of event planning. So there's a few different ones on permitting. We have ones on sponsorship, We have ones on grant writing, on crowd control and safety. They are recorded, they are free, they are accessible all the time. Each one of them comes with its own like unique resource to help set you up for success in the future. We will be doing more coming in 2020, end of 26, 27, I believe. So stay tuned, sign up for our community newsletter so that you can find when we start that back up again. So how do you apply? When you are getting ready to submit your application, I recommend that you have all of this already prepared so that your submission process is really smooth. Basic contact information, again, who are you? What's your organization? What is your mission? Submit your proposed event budget using the template that we gave you. Prepare narrative responses to the criteria questions that you can find online. You're going to tell us about your preferred date, location. Is it in the public right of way? Is it at a park? Is it in a venue? Be it a church or a community center or etc. And then we need to have an understanding of when your date is. I want to stop here and say that we recognize that it is July and it is still 2026. So if your date does change, even after you're already contracted, that's quite all right with us. Please just let us know. We will make an amendment. And then it should be no issue. If we have to make slight deadline adjustments, we can work with you on that. I will say that the event still has to take place in 2027. Cannot take place the following year. And the scope of work does have to stay the same. Also be prepared to give some samples and descriptions of the activities that you're proposing, performances, art projects. Photos are really helpful. Videos, if you could submit videos as links, that would be really helpful. Sometimes our committee members have a difficult time using embed codes. So whatever the easiest way you can get the materials, that'd be great. Also, if your event is going to be applying for city event services, please prepare us with at least site map, if not traffic control plan for your event, so that we can have a better understanding of the impacts that it will take in the right of way. And then again, if you're applying for city event services for a citywide designation, you must be a not-for-profit. So please have your designation letter available and upload it, or at minimum, please provide your EIN. I want to go over really quick what to expect if you do receive funding, just because, again, the city's contracting program is pretty extensive and does require some patience, I would say, if not anything else. So when you do receive funding, you will have to become a vendor with the city of Tacoma if you're not already set up as one. If you're not already set up one, that's done through a program called Ariba. You'll receive an email from our supply enablement group, and they will send you an email informing you on how to sign up as a vendor. You can do pre-sign up too. That just gets the ball rolling. So that way, when our contracts are ready to go, it will be a really fast process to make sure that you're active. You also need to provide us with insurance documents, and you can find those requirements online. Depending on the nature of your event will determine what kind of requirements we have for insurance. At minimum, you do have to have $1 million general liability, and you do have to list the city of Tacoma as the additional insured. Depending on the nature of your event, you may have to have additional endorsements, such as maritime, if it's like on or near the water, or sexual molestation if you're working specifically and directly with youths. Next, we would go through the contract review and execution. That's when you and I meet on one-on-one, or I do a group session actually to review contracts now, just to make it a little bit easier. Just to look over all the contents of the contract, make sure all the information is correct, and then that way I can submit it for signature. You will also have to submit a logo. We talked about this earlier. That would be due 30 days before your event date and has to be reviewed by our marketing team to make sure that the correct logo is being used. This seems simple, but it's actually quite complex because there are so many different city-funded programs. So there are some joint use logos if you're using Tacoma Creates as well. So we want to make sure that you're correctly displaying how you're being funded by the city. So we just want to double check that. You will also have to submit a final report that will be done on Google Forms, just like the application is. In the final report, you'll need to submit your completed budget. You have to submit images of your event, marketing materials, and then any other supplemental documents. Once that final report is received with the invoice, I can review it and approve you for funding. These are all the various ways that you can get in touch with us or find out more information. Take a screenshot if you want to of these different links, but tacomavenues.org, special events, you can find anything you need. And then you can always email me at communityevents@tacomavenues.org. That was the last of my slides. I want to stop and take time to make sure we're getting people's questions asked. So, Gerald, what kind of questions do we have today?
Thanks, Ashley. There's one question on the chat and says, we are based out of Olympia, newly formed nonprofit organization, but would like to host an event in Tacoma for broader audience. Are we eligible?
Yes, you are eligible. Even if your organization is not based out of Tacoma, as long as you have a Tacoma business license to do business here and the event is still taking place inside of City of Tacoma limits, you absolutely are eligible.
Cool. Thank you. And then we have another question from the Q&A. It says, in the application, event location is requested. What if you don't know where you can host yet, but plan to seek a location within city limits? Can you still apply?
Yes, please give us an idea of where you do plan on hosting. It usually gives the committee an idea of like what the scene will be, at least what the intention is. Again, if it changes even after the contracting process has started, it should not be a big deal as long as it's still inside of the city of Tacoma. You would just send me an email, we'd make a quick amendment to your contract, and it shouldn't be a problem.
Cool. And then there's a follow-up of to the first question. Is asking how to get a business license from the city of Tacoma.
Absolutely. Feel free to email me at communityevents@tacomavenues.org, and I will get you connected with our tax and licensing department. But all of business licenses are handled through our tax and licensing department.
Cool. Another question is, oh, there's more. Okay. Is funding one project per year or can multiple projects be submitted?
Um, There is quite the debate on whether series of events qualify or not. I think really it comes down to the public benefit part of it. For example, markets are typically not well received because their intention is to be for profit, whether it's to the vendors themselves or the market organizer. But if you have like a multi-day event, so say your event takes place over the course of several days, those have been well received. We get into a fine line where we start talking about programs that happen over the course of the year, because those kind of don't follow under the full definition of events according to the committee. I would say if you really have a question, please contact me. Give me a little bit of details on the scope and like the nature and what you mean by over the course of days, and I'm happy to help guide you.
Cool. Another question is, are there any funding caps?
The funding is for $2,500 to $5,000 this year. It does change, which is why we try not to publish it so much, but that's what it will be for this year. You will receive between $2,500 and $5,000, $2,500 and $5,000, excuse me.
Another question in the chat is, would we be able to establish a fiscal sponsorship arrangement for the charitable slash nonprofit component of this initiative?
Yes, you can use a fiscal sponsor for the special event funding. For city event services, the event producer themselves must be a 501c3.
Cool. Another question. Oh, this is gonna be a long one. Okay. It says the written portion of the application seems to have a lot of overlap between questions, leading to reputable answers such as describe how your event will support activities that are accessible to all events, including individuals with disabilities, versus designed for access, detail how your organization plans to design the event to accommodate all participants and the strategies you will implement to advance access, opportunity, and belonging for everyone involved in the event. Is this purposeful slash is it okay for our answers to be repetitive?
That's a really great question, and I really appreciate you asking that because the committee did a lot of work this year on trying to remove redundancies. So hopefully everybody will see a lot less of these this year. For this specific example, I will say that I believe the intention behind the committee is when you're saying describe how your event will support activities that are accessible, that can be like that's more about like the experience itself, whether that's a physical experience or not, that's different, versus detail how your organization plans to design the event. That's more about the physical space. But also to follow up the end of your question, if there are redundancies in those, yes, if there's duplicative answers, just because that's the nature of your event, please, by all means, we don't want you to make something up that's not real or truthful to your event.
As of right now, those are all the questions. Thank you guys for asking these questions. Those are all valuable.
Yeah, these are really great questions. And even for the one, that last one, if you still feel like it's over redundant, the committee is really committed to making sure that this funding program is as accessible as it can be, but still has to check several boxes for them in order for it to be available to distribute out. So if you ever catch something that you're like, this just feels off, or hey, have you considered doing it this way? Please send me that feedback. I'm happy to present that to the committee so that they can take it into consideration for future years. This is an evolving program. We want it to be an evolving program so that it can change with like what's going on in our community, or what kind of other funding resources are available, or so please just provide us feedback. We love that.
A couple more came in, Ashley.
Yeah.
Since returning from the previous question, I think they were asking if an organization can receive this funding for multiple comma separate events. Is this the case?
No, not separate events. The event has to be, if it's multiple days, it has to be has to be the same scope. They will only approve one scope of work, I guess is a better way to put that. Hopefully that
Okay.
answers that question.
Yeah, and it says for example, if I want to apply for both the Tacoma Moon Festival and the Walk for Recognition Against Racism, would this be possible?
No, you'll have to pick one or the other.
Okay. Cool. And then Ben said thanks.
Yeah.
You're welcome. And then Ravi asked, can we get this a recording of the session, please? Yes. So the recording will be, it'll process within 24 to 48 hours. So if you go on to tacomavenues.org, and then if you look into our navigation bar for special events, and there'll be special events funding, the recording will be there linked. Currently, right now, the first link from the July 9th session is up. But yeah, the July 29th will take about 24 to 48 hours, and we'll put that up. And then also we can put the slides also for there too, if there's any questions or anything you want to look back onto there as well. So we'll get that up as soon as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, community events at Tacoma email or at tacomavenues.org is a great email. I know for those of you who have my normal email, I ask that you use the community one because there's more eyes on it. And it just sticks out more so that I can give more immediate responses. Just because we know this is so time sensitive. And at this point we have 4, 5, 6-ish days left, we want to make sure that we're responding to as fast as we can.
I think that's it, Ashley.
All right. Well, I like it. We got through it. Hopefully we got everybody's questions answered. Again, we are here for you to talk through any questions that you may have. If it's a specific scope of work that you're just saying, hey, does this qualify? Or just want to understand more about the program itself, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to walk through any of this with you and provide you additional information. We're really excited to see this year's applications. I absolutely love this program. I think it's one of the best things that's happening in Tacoma right now. I look forward to its growth. I do have to make one quick plug that I probably should have done at the intro. What makes this funding program really special is that this is money being invested from the community back into the community. This funding pool comes from an excise tax that's being pulled from the Tacoma Dome and Convention Center concession sales. So when there's events in these venues, we're taking a small percentage and we're putting it back into community programming. I'm hoping that through this model, it will make our funding pool bigger and more robust as years come. And I'm just excited to see it grow. So with that, a little amount of stalling, just in case there are little trailing questions. I thank you all for being here today. We appreciate your time. Thank you for all that you do for the city of Tacoma's community, its people, its organizations, and I look forward to reading your applications. Have a great day. Bye, guys.